Okay, we're going to do a series of short videos for the remaining Lost in Space episodes starting now. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and in episode 4, which is called Scarecrow, we learn a couple of things in this episode. First of all, concern as to whether the robot is a life form or if he is a machine, and the only way we can find that out is through this episode where we see what happens to someone like Robot that is in a much less of a healthy state. We have seen the robot and we've seen SAR, as they call the one that attacked him at the end of the last season. But we have Scarecrow, who is just kind of a pile of scrap metal at this point because he has been so abused by the humans in order to get them to make all the previous 23 missions to Alpha Centauri. Maureen's suspicion that the star drive was something that was alien rather than something out of Earth's technology was absolutely true. Dr. Smith is trying to erase all of the evidence that she was Dr. Smith. There didn't seem to be a point to it in the last episode, but in this one it makes a lot more sense as the colonists start coming back on the Resolute that the only person that really knew for certain who she was, she manages to put into a coma by this killer kelp plant that she keeps a piece of. Once again, as we mentioned earlier, you introduce the gun in scene 1, you use it in the end scene. Parts of our Jupiter 2 crew go back down to the surface to try to help the other colonists come up and collect water, and Judy wants to help out with the medical needs but finds herself kind of sidelined because she is only an intern, and the actual doctors down there kind of treat her as a messenger or a runner of sorts. So she's kind of crestfallen at this until we have a situation that happens in episode 5, which we'll go ahead and mention here, in which we have Judy back to herself as a rescuer and provider of important medical knowledge, and so she's more accepted in that than she was in the previous episode. Don finds out about this killer rust that is going to eat up everything that it touches because it's contagious, and they quarantine everything to the planet's surface so that it doesn't infect the Resolute. So we find that Penny is trying to find evidence that Dr. Smith is a criminal. In episode 4, she does away with the last person that would know firsthand about her identity, and no one else could prove it because she's erased all the computer records back in episode 3. So she is now accepted as Dr. Zoe Smith, a therapist, and is given an office on the Resolute, and she's finally found a way where she can be accepted in the Resolute crew and have a new start on Alpha Centauri. At least that's her intention. Penny's effort to find her and prove that she's a criminal in episode 5 shows that Penny is not nearly as stealthy as she thinks she is. Dr. Smith is a little smarter than she thinks she is, and it ends up with Penny trapped in a garbage dumpster. They go back to that garbage dumpster on a number of occasions, and it must have been an expensive set because they wanted to use it on a number of occasions. It seems to capture the spirit of the original series, in which they go from one disaster to another, and it is not anything terribly edgy. It's not anything that is terribly coherent about a continuing drama, but the characters are interesting and the action keeps coming. And so for that, I don't give this the star of one of the greatest science fiction shows ever, but it's interesting to watch and a nice diversion. So we'll be back next time and continue on with episode 6 and see what we do from there. Until then, don't go far.